coming from the largest study ever done in the history of financial services on language. Has a lot of years backing, and the way that they actually did the research is they started off with in-depth interviews just to get the words, the phrases that people use around income planning, annuities, and so forth. And then what they did is they hosted these dial sessions. Hopefully everybody knows what dial sessions are. Frank Luntz does these a lot of times from a political standpoint. So for those that are not familiar, a dial session, you get a group of individuals in the room, looks like this. They watch a video. Each one of them have a dial in their hand, no bigger than a cell phone. So the dial is set at 50, and they watch the video. They listen to the words that are used. If they hear or see something they like, they turn the dial up. If they hear or see something they don't like, they turn the dial down. And what this does is allows the researchers to then take that information and look at instantaneous, anonymous, and simultaneous information. And they can take the data and say, okay, starts off talking, the words are going great. Oh, the numbers moved up. Something was really said really well. We had a drop off. Okay, what was said there? And they could go back and pull that information. And what they did is once they had that information, then they validated it just by having a national survey. And what they found was that words really, truly matter. And it's not what you say. Well, some of you may be thinking, oh, it's how you say it. And that's not really accurate, but it's actually what's heard. You may say something 5 different times to 5 different people, different ways, and they all may hear the same thing. So what we're trying to do here is take all this research, the fact that there's over a decade of research, it's actually up to about 20,000 investors now, all on annuities, retirement plan, risk, fees, advisor value. Take it all, put it all into a package and say, okay, of all this 10, 15 years, what have we learned? We've learned four conversation convictions. So here's the details, here's the meat of it. So what are these 4? Well, the first thing is to focus on the goals of your client in retirement, not the gaps. So begin with what's important to that client. This is really more or less just the listening time frame where we know that everybody's going to need food. We know that everybody's going to need housing and transportation. We know this. But what else may they need in retirement? For my father, it's boating. That's not everybody's passion. Some others, it may be travel. Some may want to maintain their country club membership. What's important to that individual? So let me show you one of these videos. Now, I'm going to show you the top video here. This is the top video for over a decade. Now, when you watch this video, hopefully the sound comes through. As you can see, it's going to start at 50. And what we've learned over these past 2 years is that 100% of the people never agree on anything. So you're never going to have 100%. You're never going to have 0. So it's always going to be somewhere in between. But where do we have more success than we have in others? So watch this dial and see if you can pick up the phrase that is said every time we get a tick up. Now, to give you a perspective, once we hit about 65, 70, that's an A+. Once we're below 35, consider that a failure. So just to give you a perspective, again, we're never going to hit 100, we're never going to get 0. But watch this video, listen to the words, and see if you can pick up exactly what phrase is causing the increase.
I've been in this business a long time, and over time, I've developed a process for working with my clients that puts them in the best position to succeed. The first step of that process is asking the right questions to get a picture of your financial situation and where you are today. The second is understanding what your goals are for the future. The third step provides an honest assessment of how attainable those goals are. Which goals are most realistic? Which are your priorities? The fourth step is to explore what actions we need to take to get there. Then finally, we have a conversation about how comfortable you are with those actions. Are they things you think you can do? How can we help you stay on track? We'll build on this conversation at every check-in. Having a tried and true formula like this provides a firm foundation so you know what to expect and can feel confident that we're being thorough.
All right. So as you can see, we were pretty close to 80. So if you're wanting to know, okay, well, where was the jump? If you're kind of thinking, okay, well, what was it? Was it, what phrases specifically were used? Well, if you notice, it continued to trend up. But the phrases that really got the results was, first of all, get a picture of your financial situation. Understand where your current situation is. Second, what your goals are, using that phrase goals are, where you want to get to, and then how we can help stay on track. Because that's really what we're trying to do as financial professionals, is understand where our clients are financially today, understand where they want to be in the future, and then our job as financial professionals is how to help them keep on track. And so it was where you are today, point A, where you want to go, point B, and then how we keep on track. It's interesting because we talk about retirement planning, and getting to retirement is an entirely different situation than getting through retirement. And so, getting to retirement, obviously that's a fun topic, but the concern is getting through it, having enough cash flow to really pay. We actually had a study at Global Atlantic Care just very recently that about 70% of individuals were concerned about inflationary costs in their retirement. The fact that Social Security is having their largest cost of living adjustment increase in over 40 years to roughly about 6%. I believe it's 5.9. But when you look at the CPI from September of 20 to September of 2021, 5.4. So Social Security is giving them 5.9. CPI is 5.4. But as we all know, CPI doesn't mirror the spending habits of general consumers. So, that may be exciting to get an increase in pay to their Social Security check, but the cost of living has gone up significantly. And so how do we help keep our clients on track as potential inflation may come down the road? We'll touch on that a little bit later. But now let's share with you the worst video. Now this video was it starts off okay, and it starts off working really well. So see if you can pick up what is working well and then where we just drop off the cliff.
Financial wellness is all about feeling empowered with the tools and information you need to confidently navigate your finances. As part of that effort, we're reaching out with an update on your progress towards reaching your retirement goals. We have found 2,743 peers at our company who have a similar age and income as you. How do your key retirement plan measures compare to theirs? Based on 16 metrics, such as your date of birth, annual salary, current savings rate, and others, we have determined the following. First, your progress toward income replacement in retirement is in the 29th percentile compared to your peers. Second, the balance of your retirement account is in the 32nd percentile compared to your peers.
So as you can see, he actually got as high as 63. And, if you notice, that it came right after he said the word goals. And everything was going really well. But what ended up happening is he started comparing. He started saying, well, your situation compared to other individuals is not nearly as high. What we find is that peer-based is fear-based. It doesn't work today. It may have worked in the past, but it doesn't work today like it may have before. And there's not really a reason to motivate somebody. If we're trying to motivate somebody to make a change or to do something different, the fear doesn't have that same motivational factor. You may motivate somebody to leave, to not want to be in that environment because they're uncomfortable. But when we talk about the goals, it becomes much, much more successful. When they asked if your professional would like to address changes before making your portfolio, how the proposed change either helps you achieve your goals or if that individual is more informed by the financial collapse of 2008. Well, as I said, nothing's 100%, but over 80% of the time, how to help you achieve your goals. So focus on the goals first. Okay, that's the first one. Second, stay out of the features first. Lead with what it does versus what it is. How many times have you ever had that conversation with your client or a prospect, and one of the first things out of their mouth is, I don't want an annuity. I don't care what we're talking about, I just don't want an annuity. Well, here's what we know, is that annuities are designed to do a lot of different things. Global Atlantic has been one of the fastest growing annuity companies for 5, 6 years running. And it's because we offer a lot of different solutions. Now, if somebody's offered an annuity for one purpose and it does something else, then yes, obviously it was not in the best interest of the client. But when we're talking about annuities, it's important to stress what it does first versus what it is. So let's take a look at a couple of these statistics. And I animated these up front because the animation is a little off. So which one of these interests you most? Making sure you have enough money as long as you live, or managing longevity risk? Which one? Well, 90% say making sure you have enough money as long as you live. But here's the secret. They're both saying the same thing. Managing longevity risk is what it is, but managing longevity risk does make sure you have enough money as long as you live. Let's look at the other one. Managing inflation risk, making sure you can afford to maintain your lifestyle. Over 80%, making sure you can afford to maintain your lifestyle. This is a hot topic right now. Obviously, managing inflation risk is what it does, is what it is, but what it does is making sure you can afford to maintain your lifestyle. And then finally, making sure you can participate in gains while reducing downside risk, or managing market risk. Saying the same thing, and yet still 2/3 of individuals want to focus on what it does versus what it is. It's okay to explain what it is, but lead with what it does. What are we trying to accomplish here? You know, obviously, if you had to choose which was more important to you, making sure if your family is taken care of if you die, what it does, or a death benefit, what it is. Which do you think would be more popular? Well, of course, what it does. And what it does is much more successful, close to 80% of the time. You know, and if we think about, okay, we may not be able to change the text in the brochures, in the information that we're using. You know, if we're looking to offer life insurance, you know, this is the beneficiary benefit versus the death benefit. It's more palatable because we're talking about what we're trying to accomplish versus what it actually is. It's okay to address what it is, but let's lead with what it does. And what an annuity does, if it's looking to provide income, is to provide an individual with protected income. And we've changed the phrase protected from guaranteed because there's been things in the industry or things just in life that have said to be guaranteed and then don't come up to fruition. So we use the words now protected income for as long as you live, for a better chance of enjoying a comfortable retirement. So lead with the benefits, lead with what it does versus what it is. Number 3, this is the easiest one, maintain portion control. Use the word portion. Annuities are only for a portion of the portfolio. What I love about this is this idea doesn't necessarily just apply to annuities, can be used really across the board. You know, as we've seen, obviously, the psychology, the human mind is very polarized. Yes, no, day, night, black, white. But in reality, life is gray. Life is in the middle. And so what we need to do when we're having these conversations is make sure that our clients are aware we're not talking all or none. We're talking a portion. Now, if you look at this, so they asked individuals, if your financial professional were to recommend to put your portfolio into a single well-diversified fund that seeks to maximize the potential for growth while minimizing its downside risk, how likely would you be to do it? Well, half said we would, half said we wouldn't. What they did then is they took a step back, they changed the phrase. They didn't change it a lot. All they did was add a portion and watch what happened to the likelihood. Think about that. Going from a 50% success ratio to a 90% success ratio. You know, what does that mean? Using a portion. You know, we're talking portion. Use a portion ad nauseum, because the second that you don't, now the mind goes back to all or none. This phrase, this one little piece, I will tell you, is the most common that comes back time and time again. Says, I've started to use the word portion, and guess what? It works. It works. Using that word portion works. So that's the third. Then the last, confirming that the price is right. Proactively address the cost. Because what we find is when they ask individuals, which would cause you to lose more trust in your financial professional? Unexpected or unexplained fees or underperforming investments? 2/3 say the fees. Now let's take a step back for a second and think about it. You know, we offer a service, and for that service, there's a way that we're compensated. But when they asked individuals, which would you least like to pay as an investor? Meaning, which one of these words are the worst? Which one of these do you not want to pay? Do you not want to pay commissions? Do you not want to pay fees? Do you not want to pay charges, or do you not want to pay costs? Which one came back as the worst? Well, the most palatable, meaning the one that most individuals could understand, was the cost, right? Everything costs something. There's always a cost to something. If there's no cost, it's free. And if it's free, then the question is okay, well, what am I missing? Charges came in second. Commissions, believe it or not, was still palatable. But where over 50% of individuals said, I would not want to pay fees. I don't want to pay fees. And yet, how are we compensated? In fees, you look at rider fees, M&E fees, sub-account fees. Now, again, we may not be able to change the text, but we can change how we're phrasing our service. And we can actually be upfront. So let's take everything that we've learned here through these four, and we'll give you kind of a talk track. So if you are introducing annuities into the conversation, first, we want to understand this cost. Let's address the cost of annuities. First, let me say what you pay matters, because it's important that we're smart with your money. You should know exactly what we're paying so there's no unexpected or unexplained cost. Using that word cost. So lose that phrase fee, gain that phrase cost. You know, it's an interesting way to present your cost structure to maybe a prospect that you know is interviewing a few other financial professionals. Ask them this, say, you know what, it's interesting, I'd be interested to see how their fees over there match up against our costs here. Saying the same thing, but what is that putting in the client, in the prospect's mind? Using that word cost. We want to state the value. The goal here is if we're using an annuity for income generating, we want to generate enough protected lifetime income. There's that word protected, not using guaranteed, but protected, to pay for your must-haves in retirement. The only way we find out the must-haves in retirement is that if we talk about our clients' goals. That's why it's in quotations. With that in mind, let's look at annuities for reliable income for a portion of your income needs. And with that says the costs are as it follows. Because ultimately, if we're offering a service and the client sees that there's an abundance of value, then price really matters least. But it matters most if we're not showing value. So the best way to do that in the four conversation convictions, talking about the goals, not the whole. Staying out of the features first. Lead with what it does versus what it is. It's okay to explain what it is. Explain what it does first. Portion, and then proactively address those costs. So at the end of the day, we talked about the why, the what, the how. And so for anybody that wants any more information, this presentation was entirely designed by the Alliance for Lifetime Income. Their model is protect your income and retire your risk. So that's the presentation. We can give you all the additional cheat sheets, and we have the brochure that we can provide to you. In addition, we do get the question asked sometimes, well, what do we have to provide to our clients? The good news is that the Alliance for Lifetime Income did create a client-approved income planning presentation, whether it's live and in person or virtually, that is designed. We can provide it to you to present, or if you'd prefer, you can contact Chris and myself and we can present it on your behalf. So with that, I don't know if I'm turning the call back over to Chris, Bianca, or Jody, but I will pass it over to one of the three here so that we can address any questions and wrap up for today.